Hello and welcome. This week, 50 years ago, the beginning of the end of East Pakistan and formation of Bangladesh took place. Circumstances under which Bangladesh was formed in December 1971 had their roots in the happenings and events in the month of March 1971. That's going to be the first part of this two-part episode of Simply Nitin this week. I'm Nitin Gokhale. So 50 years ago, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, who was the undisputed leader of Awami League party in East Pakistan, which was part of the undivided Pakistan that time, was in a position to become Prime Minister of the entire Pakistan, thanks to an election that took place in December 1970. He had won a brutal majority of 167 seats in the National Assembly or Parliament of Pakistan, which then had members of about 313 people. The next best number was with the Pakistan People's Party led by Zulfikar Ali Bhutto of West Pakistan. He had barely 83 seats. He came nowhere close to the numbers that Awami League had. So rightfully under the Pakistan Constitution, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman from East Pakistan, a Bengali nationalist, Bongo Bandhu as he was known, should have become the Prime Minister of Pakistan. But circumstances were not normal. East and West Pakistan, although part of one country following India's partition in 1947, were never really cohesive or coordinated. The stark difference between East and West Pakistan in 20 years after the independence of Pakistan from India in 1947 was becoming more and more apparent. While East Pakistan had a larger population, according to the 1961 census, East Pakistan had a population of 50.84 million people. West Pakistan, which consisted of Sindh, Balochistan, Punjab in West Pakistan, had a population of 42.9 million people. And according to the one vote, one election formula, or one vote formula, the number of seats in the National Assembly, or what we call Parliament in India, the number of seats in East Pakistan were larger. They had 169 seats, whereas in West Pakistan there were about 144 seats. So East and West Pakistan never had anything in common except for religion. Both were Islamic countries. They followed, large majority of the population followed Islam as their religion. And when Pakistan was created, it was an artificial construct. It did not have a natural contiguity. All of you know, West Pakistan is on India's west, and East Pakistan, or now Bangladesh, is on India's east, separated by the vast hinterland of India, about 1600 miles of the Indian territory. These two wings of Pakistan had nothing in common except religion. In fact, A.A.K. Niazi, Lieutenant General A.A.K. Niazi, who surrendered with 93,000 troops in December 1971 to Indian Army following a 13-day war in December 1971, had written in his book that except for religion, there was nothing common amongst East or West Pakistanis. Their dress code, their dietary habits, their language, their traditions, their customs, everything was different. The East Pakistanis considered themselves Bengalis first and Pakistanis later. The cultural connect between what is now West Bengal in India and Bangladesh goes back a long way. They had common language, they had common literature, common culture, common songs, common poetry. All that made the East Pakistanis identify themselves more with India rather than Pakistan or West Pakistan. 70% of Pakistani exports, undivided Pakistani exports from 1947 to 1970 were happening from the eastern part of Pakistan. That is what is currently Bangladesh. Jute was one of the major exports from East Pakistan. And yet, the East Pakistanis were always discriminated against in government jobs, in higher positions in judiciary, in the military, and they never got the kind of money or financial aid that they should have got from West Pakistan, which should have been equitable. According to one article in the late 70s, there was this statistic which was given that while Pakistan, 70% of Pakistan's exports went from the eastern part of the country, the eastern part or East Pakistan got just 34% of the foreign aid that came to Pakistan as a whole. So clearly there were a lot of discrimination. The elite in West Pakistan, the Punjabi ruling elite in the military and in the government, hated the Bengalis. They treated them as second-class citizens. So the divide was complete, both emotionally and physically. So Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, who became the undisputed leader of Awami League from 1963 onwards, already had mentioned in his manifesto that Pakistan needed to give East Pakistan a autonomous status. He had a 6-point formula or a 6-point demand put forward in the mid-60s. And that's what he wanted from the West Pakistanis or from the Pakistan government. And that formula was very clear that East Pakistan will be more or less autonomous, except for the fact that it will be aligned to West Pakistan. His 6 points included a constitutional government with federal structure. Number 2, limiting the central government's role to only foreign affairs and defense. Number 3, separate foreign exchange reserves for each wing of Pakistan. Number 4, separate fiscal policy for the 2 wings of Pakistan. Number 5, the separate militias or separate militaries for both sides of the both wings of Pakistan. And 6th, he wanted a separate foreign exchange of separate currency for both wings of Pakistan. This formula he had articulated in the late 60s, and the negotiations were always on, but nobody had taken him seriously in West Pakistan because West Pakistan had the military might. All the military officers and military elite were from West Pakistan. The East Bengalis or the Bengalis hardly had any role in the military. Very few Bengalis were part of the ruling elite or were at the higher ranks in the military. So come November 1970, there was a devastating natural disaster that struck East Pakistan. Cyclone Bhola displaced millions of Bengalis in East Pakistan and killed thousands. The response by the authorities, led by the West Pakistanis, was indifferent. That resulted in a great anger and anguish in East Pakistan. Yahya Khan, who had by then become the chief martial law administrator, decided to hold parliamentary elections in first week of December 1970. Coming as it did on the back of Cyclone Bhola and the devastating effect it had on the people of East Pakistan, the people voted with anger and deliberate plan. It resulted in Awami League getting 167 of the 169 seats in East Pakistan. A brute majority in the overall numbers in the National Assembly or Parliament of Pakistan. Now, there was a dilemma for Yahya Khan. He had to make, according to the constitution, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman the Prime Minister of entire Pakistan and not just leader of East Pakistan. Now, this was unacceptable to the elite in the West. Neither Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, who had barely got 83 seats in the National Assembly and was the leader of the Pakistan People's Party, nor the army, which was the final arbiter of Pakistan's destiny, were willing to accept Mujibur Rahman as the Prime Minister of Pakistan. So there was a stalemate. By the time negotiations between Mujibur Rahman and the West Pakistanis began, it was January 1971. It continued for a month and a half, and by end of February, it was very clear that neither Yahya Khan nor Zulfikar Ali Bhutto were willing to share power or give the post of Prime Minister to Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. This was an explosive situation in East Pakistan. People were getting restless, people were angry, and people were demanding that Mujibur Rahman becomes Prime Minister forthwith. The army was not willing to give up that post for anybody from East Pakistan. This stalemate resulted in what we know as the genocide in East Pakistan on 26th March or the midnight of 25th March, early morning of 26th March 1971. The crackdown and the subsequent Operation Searchlight, which is one of the most brutal operations by any army in the world on its own people, actually started the downfall of Pakistan and the breakup of Pakistan in the month of March 1971. All that we'll talk about in the next episode of Simply Nitin, which will be telecast on Saturday, the 27th. This episode is coming to you on 26th of March, the day the genocide happened in Dhaka and nearby areas, now the capital and then the capital of East Pakistan, now the capital of Bangladesh. All that we'll talk about in the second episode of this special series of 2 parts of Simply Nitin during this week. Until the next time, it's goodbye.